Hey everyone, Gabriel Harbor here, CEO of StormChaserCoaching.com. What you are about to watch is a preview of Mike Olbinski's Storm Photography Masterclass, which we have available over at StormChaserCoaching.com in the Chaser Academy. Chaser Academy is our monthly subscription product. It's only $19 per month. Crazy deal. Lots of training modules, just like this type of content. And Mike Olbinski is the absolute Michael Jordan of storm photography. So it's someone who you're definitely going to want to study if this is a topic that is interesting to you. And let's face it, everybody wants to have something cool to hang on their wall to show off to people that come over, friends and family. What is this whole storm chasing thing all about? I know you're going to enjoy this video, and I know that if you go and sign up for the Chaser Academy at stormchasercoaching.com, you will enjoy watching all the rest of his content, plus all the other training modules, Chase and Explain content, etc. that we have available over there. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the video.
Okay, for this lesson, we are going to talk about the gear I use for photography and time-lapse when I'm chasing storm. Everything, all the gear that you see here fits into these two camera bags. I've got this awesome tank, a little smaller one. It's a great camera bag. I appreciate them. They actually sent me this one. This one is a bigger one. It's one of the airport commuter ones. I've had this one for like 10 years. It's great. All this stuff, except for the tripod, is stored away safely in there when I'm chasing. So I have everything with me wherever I go. When you're out chasing, you end up at hotels every night and you don't know what you're going to get, but you need to have everything with you in order to back stuff up, edit, and all that. Everything that is here is what I use on the road, except for a couple things that aren't pictured, like my laptop, which is a MacBook Pro, and a power strip. And I usually keep that separate in my luggage bag with my clothes, so it's kind of separate up top just in case anything gets stolen out of the back. My Thule on the roof is a little bit more secure, maybe. This is the stuff I use. I use Manfrotto tripods, very sturdy, strong, some carbon fiber, some kind of the aluminum metal. And I usually travel with 3 tripods, maybe a 4th up top if I think I need a backup or something. But 3 of them for my 3 cameras. My cameras will all have them, the little ball head attachment, but I carry spares in case one breaks or the little rubber pad breaks off or wears down. So I've got spares of those. Also, good to have tools. This is a Allen wrench kind of set for tightening up, you know, the little clamps on the legs and all that. That's good to have. I've used it. I actually used it today in setting this up. So we'll talk about the cameras real quick. I shoot on 2 5DSRs and a Canon R5. The R5 is recording this right now, and so it's not here. So let's pretend that this 5D Mark IV is the R5. But generally, my R5 is what I use for kind of separate shots away from time-lapse. This is my still shot. This is the one where I'm trying to get lightning. I might run down the road and do a different shot. It's kind of my run and gun camera. It usually has this Canon 11-24 wide angle on it. My 2 time-lapse cameras, the 5DSRs, they're 50 megapixels. That's why I like them. They're trusted. They've been around for a while and they work great. Yes, I would love to upgrade to another 50 plus megapixel Canon mirrorless when it happens. But so far, there hasn't been anything like that. One of them usually has 50 millimeter lens on it, but sometimes I swap a 135 to get closer to a wall clad or a tornado or something like that. Also have the 11-24 on the other 5DSR to do wide angle time lapses. And because this camera is an R5, I also have this handy dandy 100-500 RF mount lens, which I got just in 2023. And it proved utterly fantastic. Shot a lot of tornadoes with it. The range from 100 to 500 proved really, really awesome. And I'm really glad I had it. Here, I have a bunch of spare batteries. You can never have enough. Here's 7 right here. I'm not even sure if some of these might have them in there. I don't know. You got to have a bunch of batteries. If you're doing time lapse and you've got a couple of cameras going, have spares. If you don't have spares or you don't have enough spares, here is battery chargers that I carry in my camera bag. And then I also have one in the back of my truck plugged in to the power strip in case, I'm out running and gunning. It's going to be a long day. I will take a battery out of my camera, start charging it while I'm driving, and keep it going. These are generally in my smaller camera bag, and I use these for the hotel room. This charges one battery. This is a USB powered one that charges two at the same time. That's what I'll use, in the hotel room every night. Plug those in, start charging batteries right away so they're ready the next day. Lightning trigger. Whichever lightning trigger you use, this is the lightning trigger 4. You can use, there's the flex bolt, there's the strike finder. If you want to shoot lightning during the day and a little bit before dusk, this is kind of a must for any photographer out there chasing storms. And there may be a new one coming out sometimes. Memory cards. You got to have a bunch of them. If you are time lapsing, you need to have, this one is full of just my CF cards that are all 128 gigabytes. I will rarely go through all of them in a day, but I have on great days shot around 500 to 600 gigabytes of time lapse and stills. It gets close. So I have a bunch of memory cards here for my R5. I will also have its own separate memory card kind of pouch because it's got the CF Express cards, and so they're kind of different slotted. So I've got one for that, and I've got another one that just carries extra ones and SD cards because the R5 also takes SD cards, and my 5DSRs do as well. So they're kind of backup. If you're doing time lapse, sometimes the SD card slot's a little slow on these Canons. So if I'm expecting to do a time lapse where I'm doing every 2 seconds, every 3 seconds and up, I might use an SD card instead of the CF card. But we'll talk about intervals and all that stuff in a totally other lesson. Speaking of memory cards, something else you need when you're out chasing, of course, don't forget the card readers. There's a CF Express one that I have separate because it's not out there combined with other ones yet, and this is the CF and the SD card one. My laptop probably has a reader in it. I have one of the dongles on it that's got a SD reader, so I could use that too. One other thing, a little hint, is this is just a random 64 gigabyte card. There's been a few times when I'm out chasing that my memory cards were in my office somewhere and I was doing something else, and I got out to chase and realized I left all my memory cards at home. Take a memory card or two, like a 64, 128, take a couple of memory cards and hide them in your camera bags for emergency use when you realize you're out there, you have your cameras, you have everything, but you forgot your memory cards. You might need one of these someday. A few other gadgets, headlamps, gotta have those, especially at night chasing. That's a very big deal, especially if you drop something or you're looking in your camera bag. You could get a Kestrel handheld weather anemometer where you can look at dew point and temperature and wind and all that. It's kind of handy to have if you're out getting into this really big time and you want to know what the dew point is and the temperature is and the spreads and all that. And if you're close to go time and if today is turning out like the model said, that's pretty handy to have. Cleaning stuff. I've got a whole little set here that has a magnifying glass on it and a light that allows me to look at the sensor on my cameras up close. And then I use a little rocket to blow off the dust. And if the dust won't come off the sensor, I've got some sensor swabs made by VSGO. You could probably get a ton of these anywhere on Amazon. And I use that to keep my sensors clean when I'm out chasing, especially with the time-lapse stuff. And then some microfiber cloths. You got to have a bunch of those for your lenses and all that. Filters, I don't use these very much when I'm chasing. Generally, the skies are kind of mostly evenly lit, dark, stormy. But if it is a bright day and there's lightning and you want to put on an ND filter, or you want to do something different like a graduated filter because the sky's, pretty light and the ground's dark, bring those along. I just don't use them very much. Okay, so intervalometers. I've got these that are external controls of my cameras that can do time-lapse intervals, every second, every 2 seconds. They also double as just plugging in your camera, sliding up the button, and your camera will take continuous shots. These are handy to have. I find myself recently using more of my in-camera intervalometers for time-lapse, but I really like these for quick kind of things. And when I'm shooting lightning at night, I really do just like to set up my camera, point at lightning, plug one of these in, slide it up, and just take continuous shots. You could just do 30-second exposures with your interval, 1 second intervals, and let it go. You could do that, but sometimes there's a little bit of a longer pause in between shots. Guess what? You're going to miss a lightning strike. So hard drives, probably the most important thing here. All this stuff is important. All this stuff you really can't live without. However, hard drives, they're going to save you if you've been out for a week or 2 or a month traveling from other parts of the world to United States or Arizona or whatever. You need to back up your stuff. Shout out to my friend Daniel Shaw from Australia, who turned me on to these Samsung SSD drives that are about 4 or 5 terabytes each. The T7 Shields, they were on special last year at Best Buy. These upload so fast, they're incredible. It about cut my backing up time every night in the hotel room by probably 2/3. And I have 2 of them because I back up to one and mirror to the other. Now, if I'm out for a really long time and I don't know when I'm going to be home, I will use these as my 2 main ones that I back up to, and then slower, Passport, Western Digital ones that then I can mirror one of these to one of these at night, and it's slower, but it goes when I'm sleeping, so I don't really care that much. And those are cheaper. You can find those anywhere at Best Buy or Target for like $99 when you're on the road, and sometimes you might need to do that. And finally, every camera bag needs one of these flasks for when you end up in a tiny town where nothing's open and you get to your hotel room at 12 at night and you need a little something to get you through the next hour and a half of backing up stuff. So that was my gear. Hopefully that was helpful to give you a snapshot of what I do. There'll be other lessons on gear that I use in my truck and apps and things I use on my computers for backing up and all that good stuff.